Well, hi everybody, welcome back to Furniture Warriors. Today we're going to be working on a world top desk. If you haven't been here before, this is my wife Cindy, I'm Jim, and we're going to rehab this piece of furniture, paint it up, make it look real nice. And Cindy's working on some stuff in the background. We're Saturday, so we got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the garage, trying to get a bunch of pieces working on and getting them done, so we can get more videos out to you guys, show you what we do. So why don't you come along on the journey with us, and we'll show you how we turn these pieces into spectacular pieces of furniture. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Okay, we're going to start by cleaning this thing up. We're going to do that using our crud cutter. We got some crud cutter and water in a bucket. And we're going to start by cleaning it up, and then we'll, after we're done washing it all off, then we'll go ahead and rinse it. I'm sorry guys, I was going to gross y'all out by showing you how yippy the water was, and I already dumped it. So now we're just wiping down and rinsing, make sure there's no residue from the crud cutter. You should do that whatever cleaner you use. After you wipe it down, get everything off it, make sure that you rinse it well so that there's no residue that'll affect your paint adhering to the surface. Didn't say nothing. I'm in big trouble. Okay, so I really want to get at this roll top and see if I can get it out of there. It's going to make things a lot easier. So I already took the base off of this, and now I'm working on taking the top off. And hopefully at that point we should be able to get the roll top out, along with probably that little compartment deal that's inside there for all the little compartments.
I'm helping.
Okay, so there's the top.
Ew.
Oh look, surprise!
Ew. Ooh, what boobies.
Yeah, look at the top of that.
Ooh, corner. Bonus.
And a penny. Ooh, look at all the money.
Ew.
27 cents. See? That's how you make profit in this business. Roll top? This is roll top right there. There you go, guys. The roll top has like a piece of material on the back that all this is glued to. So this will make it a lot easier to paint. So we can do that. Yeah, that's going to be good. That way we also have the top off. You could also actually just stain the top. And then this piece comes out now. There we go. So now we can work on the individual pieces. Make it look really nice. So there's the top. You can just imagine how long it would be to try to sand this down with the kind of time we were spending. So we're just going to go ahead and see if I got the whole thing in view here. So we're just going to go ahead and scuff sand this and get this ready for some slick stick. You don't have to worry a whole lot about any ridges that are right here, because this is where the top mounts on. So I'm not going to worry if that's a little rough. And I'm probably going to go and use my orbital just a little bit on this to get some of these really damaged spots thinned out a little bit. Okay gang, so we're going to start on the base of this. We're going to use the Dixie Belle Slick Stick. We're going to get this ready to go. We're going to stir it up. Remember my OCD with the slick stick. Make sure you wipe off the ridge of this thing. Because again, it's a bonding agent and it will bond the top of the jar. And then you will not get it open again. Okay, so we ended up taking the entire desk apart. We'll show you that later. It's just going to be easier to prime and do everything with the whole thing taken apart. It was just screws in there. So we think it's just going to be easier to do this way. Only took us a few minutes to take it apart. But we do have this one section right here that apparently has been filled before. And I'm not entirely thrilled with it. So let's see what we can do. Yeah, see, it's like a plastic in there. So I want to get rid of that and I want to refill it. Yeah, wood filler. Okay, so this is the damp wood filler, plastic wood that we're going to use. We're going to start filling this in. The can itself is actually stored upside down. So the lid is actually on the bottom. They do that so that it doesn't dry out in the can. And then once you open this, want to make sure to take out what you need and get this lid back on, because this stuff will dry fast and it will dry in the can. So you can see from it being upside down. So we're going to take some of this out. We get this lid back on. Doesn't have to be super tight just yet. The reason I put gloves on is I have a feeling that I'm probably going to end up squishing some of this in by hand. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to leave this a little on the high side, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of sanding once this dries, and then we'll see where we're at. And if we need to put a second layer on, we'll do that. I don't want to build it up too much the first time, so I'm not waiting forever for it to dry, but we'll get it pretty much in place the way we need it. Okay, so that's pretty close. So we'll go from there. We'll let that dry, and then we can give it a second coat, make sure we get it all built up the way we need it. Okay, so while we're waiting for the plastic wood to dry, we're going to get ready to prime the rest of this. So I just want to give everything a scuff sand. I'm using my 80 grit on this only because the finish they have on this is quite hard. So I want to make sure we get it scuffed up decent. Normally on most finishes I would probably use a 120 grit to scuff sand, but in this case we're going to go with the 80 just to make sure we get a good scuff on everything. Okay, so if you remember, on the base of the unit, just a little while ago, we used the Dixie Belle slick stick. The reason we did that is because on the spindles, trying to scuff sand those and run around all the spindles and stuff, it just takes a lot of time. So we just use a slick stick instead. For the rest of this, we're actually using the bin primer. You want to make sure that you get the shellac base. Okay, do not get the water base. You want the shellac base primer to be doing this. So we're going to go ahead and start priming. We love using foil in our pans. Makes things easier. This primer cleans up with either ammonia or denatured alcohol. and I am not thrilled with having to clean everything, so I'm using an old roller and an old brush. We're probably going to see what we can do about putting them in a bag and keeping them, maybe get several uses out of them before we have to toss them. The thing is, you know, a roller like this is, I don't know, $2.50 maybe for one roller. And the brush is a cheap brush, it's a couple of bucks. So, you know, $4, if you get a couple of uses out of them, you're talking $2 a piece, you know, in the cost of doing your unit. For $2, it's just not worth, to me, the 15 or 20 minutes to try to clean it all out and using chemicals to do it. So we generally use them a couple of times, and then we just go ahead and toss them, and we take our older rollers and we kind of switch them out. We use our new rollers for doing our final coats, and then we use our old rollers for doing our bin sealer. Same thing kind of goes with the brushes. When the brushes get old, we just go ahead and use them for the bin sealer, and then eventually they just end up in the garbage. But it's just not really worth it to us to try to save, at least for very long, the stuff from the bin sealer. So that's a call you guys are going to have to make yourself. Figure out if it's worth it to clean them. Okay, so we've primed everything up. We've done what we can inside of here with the roller. We're going to take the sprayer and kind of spray in here and see if, with maybe a few coats, if we can get this all white all the way into the back in here. These side panels, we already painted them with a brush on this side because I didn't want to fill up our tracks for the roll top with paint, so make sure it doesn't bind. And everything that's going to be painted white is all laid out on the tables, and we're ready to start putting some paint on. Today we're using the Sherwin Emerald. It's the urethane trim enamel. It's an interior exterior paint. It has a primer and it has a satin sheen to it. So even though it has a primer, we want to make sure we weren't going to get any bleed, because the bleed will go through that paint if it's bad enough. So we did prime everything with the bin shellac based primer. top section, the top of the desk, and then the top, the very top where the drawers are gonna be gray. So we got our gray in here. We're gonna go ahead and get this all painted gray, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we're all finished up. Let's have a look at the numbers. This is another freebie from Facebook Marketplace, so our cost was $0. We spent about $15 in materials, and we're listing it back on Facebook Marketplace for $145. So our potential on this one is $130. So we will do an update when we have it sold. And let's take one last look at how the project turned out.